All right, y'all. How y'all doing? I just want to make another video for those debating on mass airflow sensor or speed density, or the ones that are on the speed density bandwagon, and basically saying speed density is the only way to go. Not necessarily the case. Just gonna go over a couple things here. I made this video just a moment ago. It was about 20 something minutes. I figured you guys didn't have that much time to sit around. So I'll try and shorten this up as much as I possibly can. This is a 2G mass airflow sensor. I've got a 3.5 inch, another 3.5 inch. The difference between the two is this one right here has the screen still in it. This one here, the front of it where the screen normally would be, and I knocked it out. I don't have the screen. The other thing as well, now this is a 3.5 inch on the outside, but on the inside, this little vein right here, which as you can see on this one, I don't have. This is about half an inch from top to bottom once you get towards the center. And if you cut that out, that would actually neck down to about 3 inches on the inside. So just because it's a 3.5 inch, they're talking about where the coupler is at. Okay, and they have them in a 3 inch, which necks down closer to the 2.5 inch if you take the vein out of that one. It'd be less than that if you probably about close to 2 inches or so, if I remember right, if you had a 3 inch and kept the vein and everything in there as far as that's concerned. But one thing I do see from time to time, I'll see people with speed density telling other people to go to a speed density when they may have a mechanical issue and saying, hey, go speed density. Just going speed density is not always going to resolve your issues, okay? So if you've got mechanical issues, you need to fix those first. Or some people talking about if you have boost leaks, you don't have to worry about it with speed density. That's not always true either. If you have a boost leak at the intake manifold, regardless of which one you have here, you're going to have problems. You don't want intake manifold or intake leaks, boost leaks, period, no matter what setup you're having. Plus, too, that's, if you're under boost, well, that's all your air you're just flushing away, and there goes your power down the drain because now you've got it, you're pushing it all out to the atmosphere when you don't want to do that. So, I will say that I'm sorry I don't have the first gen mass airflow sensor here, but you can basically sneeze in that one and you've already maxed it out. That is a very low one. The second gen, a little bit higher. I forget the specs on it, 55, 60 pounds per minute, somewhere around there if I remember right. Higher than the first gen, and it's good if your modifications are somewhat decent. And then, of course, the GM mass airflow sensors, some people have mixed opinions about them. There's the 3 inch, 3.5, and I think the 3.75, I believe, which is going to have the most. But these things, I can't remember the specs on them, but I know at least around 90 pounds per minute, somewhere around there. Maybe it's just these right here. But if any of them, if you max them out, you can always go convert to speed density above where these max out at. Now, this one right here, what I will say is that this is a 3.5 bar map sensor from AEM. If you max one of these out right here, this one right here is probably going to already be too small for you, because if you're 90 pounds per minute, you're already probably flowing enough air that you're going to be above this map sensor right here as it is. So okay, so just keep that in mind. These are great, or if you get a map sensor that's high enough to where you can use speed density above where these max out at, more likely you're going to be using it with this one before you'd max one of these out for most, probably about 90% of the people out there. If you had a GM MAF, they work great. If you have a MAF cable, that's great. I have one in my car personally, even though I'm running speed density. It's great so that if I did have a bad map sensor, if I had the piping to swap over, I can just throw one of these back in, plug the cable back in, and I'm good to go. Okay. Or I can run speed density basically just like I'm doing. I can also use it to run one of these. I can use a map sensor to log boost, and I can use a IAT sensor to log my intake temps that's going into the engine. Mass airflow sensor like this, if you look at the intake temp parameter and ECM link, that's just basically the outside air that it's logging with that. That's not the same as the IAT sensor as far as that's concerned. But one thing I will mention is that, of course, again, I do like tuning a mass airflow sensor more than speed density, but as I was saying, this one has the screen, this one doesn't. One reason why I wanted to get rid of the screen is because people complain about the drivability if you have one of these installed right after a bend. So if your air is going this way, if you have the screen and you're going around a bend, all the air is going to get pushed over this side of the pipe. Okay. Well, if you're going through a screen, which is used to straighten out all the airflow, okay, well, how is it supposed to get back over to the wires? Those heated wires are supposed to measure your airflow if it's going around that bend. It can't get back over there. So it might cause a drivability issue in that regard. Now, me personally, I just took it out. Now, if you have that airflow going through this one and it's off to the side, it can still get back over, okay? Also cut out the vane in here. That was a 1/2 inch, and that's, less of a restriction for me as well. I did get a little bit greedy on this one, because if you see that little plastic piece right there in the middle, that was a bar that went all the way across. These things come apart in halves, and I cut that out of there. Got a little bit too greedy, and I nicked one of the wires, and that, basically kissed my mass airflow sensor goodbye. So if I had to do it again, I'd probably just cut out the vane. This vane right here, I'd keep the plastic bar there, and I would dump out I would knock out the screen that's inside. So, you don't have to knock those out. I know a guy named Hal Landry is using one of these very same mass airflow sensors. He sold his car now. I think he's left the DSM scene. He has been helpful with the ECM Link community, but he was running this same kind of 3.5 inch, and I think he was running very good numbers. I can't remember the horsepower, but I know he was running very, very decent with one of these just in stock form like that. So, but a mass airflow sensor, especially the stock one, is great for drivability or idle. They're engineered for the car for idle and cruise and so on. The problem that you have with these is, one, the restriction. Now, a stock one like this one right here, you can knock out the side ones, the side honeycombs. You probably want to keep the middle ones there to keep that airflow smooth. But they're going to max out relatively early, so that's when most people convert to speed density, and you don't have any mass airflow sensor getting in your way. You don't have any boost leaks really affecting it, but again, you don't want boost leaks anyway. Let's say if you want to go with speed density, let's discuss that in just a moment, because I want to get to the point. This is an AEM map sensor. I've been pleased with the AEM map sensors. They're metal, they're durable. This one's a little bit old. This one was given to me by a guy over in Jacksonville. Gave me this one in a 5-bar. I'm using the 5-bar in my car, which is higher. And the thing you've got to keep in mind is, just because this is a 3.5 bar, which on here, if you can see it, 0 to 50, 1 bar is just over 14.5 psi boost, just a little bit over that. So you've got to subtract that from this right here. So that's about 35 psi boost, and after that you're going to be maxing it out. So so just because you're going to speed density, that doesn't mean you're going to be able to flow all you want. Now, let's say if you go with a higher one, like a 5 or a 7 bar or whatever the case, that's great. It might give you the boost to be able to use at that higher boost level. But now your drivability down low may not be all that great, because the resolution isn't going to be all that great for idle or cruise. And what I mean by that is that it just can't really, the scale is too big to be able to go down on that low end. It's like measuring a feather on a 0 to 300 pound scale. It's just not going to register that quite as well. So you've got to keep that in mind. Where these will do that as far as idle is a little bit better. Obviously, the stock one's going to work the best. And you can use a translator or the GMF cable. I prefer the GMF cable. The translator can be a little bit finicky in that regard, but you've got to keep that in mind with these as well. If you go with the lower one, great. You might have better drivability there. Once you start getting bigger, your drivability might not be as great. I personally don't have any problems with the 5-bar. Mine's running just fine with the idle and cruise, but also too, I know how to tune ECM Link. Some of you guys may have to, have a problem there and may not know how to get around some of the little quirks there as far as that's concerned. But there are the GM and the Omni map sensors, which I don't particularly care for. Those are plastic. I've seen some as of lately where they can actually come apart, the glue, or they fail, whatever the case. If they warranty it out, great. But do you really want to have to deal with the time of your car being down, having to get another one shipped to you, whatever the case? These are a little over $100, maybe $150, somewhere around there. You might be able to find some used ones that are a decent rate, and these things usually work pretty well. I've never had a problem with one, but you're going to have to hardwire it in. You either have to get a pigtail and plug it into your wiring, or hardwire it into your wiring, or if you have a GM MAF cable, or even a SD cable, you may, if it has the pigtail already on it. I'm not sure. I've never used a speed density cable, but if it doesn't have the pigtail already on it, where it just plugs right in, then you have to wire it like it is. Yeah, I think it's got the little fly out, the little leads or whatever that come out, and you wire into the pigtail as far as that's concerned. But I love the AEM map sensors. They're durable. They're metal. They work just fine with me. I've never even heard of one failing. I'm sure they do, but it's very rare that you hear of them. So, but anyway, if there's anybody out there saying that speed density is the only way to go, not necessarily. I mean, I understand the restriction, which you can get rid of that. You can get rid of your screen on these. You can get rid of your vane. These can work very well. They're very easy to tune. Basically set some sliders, you're good to go. Speed density is really not all that hard either, but the thing I want to put into consideration is that if you suggest to someone to go to speed density and they need help, are you going to be there for that person? Are they going to know what to do? Because it can look intimidating for some people that are new to it. Okay, so that's the main thing. I would run a mass airflow sensor myself. That's just my piping. I would have to buy more piping. I might just go back to it. Right now I'm not, and the only reason why I went to speed density is because I had this one right here. I did have a 3.5 bar map sensor for logging boost, and my mass airflow sensor failed on me, and it was driving bad. So just to test things out, being that I did have a mass airflow or a MAF cable, I just made some changes in ECM link, went over to speed density while this was still installed. Car started running great. So, well, okay, I know that's the problem, being that I already had it. All I did was just buy the piping to delete this out of my system, and away I went with speed density. So I haven't converted back. I do like tuning these more. They're a little bit easier and so on. But anyway, I just want to throw it out there to you guys. Just because you're running speed density is not, the end all, best all, of everything, the best solution. And just because you have a technical issue with your car or a mechanical issue, it's not going to fix it just by going to speed density. You have to fix the problem there first before you can even use it anyway. But hope that helps some of you guys who may not know that much about them, or maybe on the fence about converting over to speed density. If you've got if what you've got is running well for you and you're running great with it, then you may want to stick with the mass airflow sensor. Or I would at least suggest getting a MAF cable, hooking it up so you can use both, and you can swap back and forth either to a mass airflow sensor or speed density until you get the hang of it. And if you're having problems with it, you can always swap back and then just use the map sensor just for logging boost and rock on that way. And the other thing too is, there's MAF clamp. If you're not familiar with it, if you max one of these out, you can swap over to speed density on the higher end. So you're still running speed density on the higher end. So you get the best of both worlds. You're getting, the good drivability down low. So long as you have a map sensor that's big enough, you can use that to work on the higher end as far as that's concerned, and still keep on driving and put down some good times. But anyway, I hope that's helpful for some of you guys. Got any questions, feel free as always, shoot them out to me. Hope y'all have a good one. Until next time.